Have you ever wondered what it would take to get a six pack? Like, if you're starting from where you're at today, what would you need to do to get a six pack this year, 2025? What are the steps you need to take? What's the mindset you need to have? How many days a week are you working out? What are you eating? Is it a carnivore diet? Is it high protein? Well, what is it? Well, I'm going to go into that today in this episode, 6 steps to getting a six pack in 2025. And while I'm not going to give you a complete outline of like weeks 1 through 2, start doing this, I want to give you some high level, kind of macro perspective on what it's going to take to get that six pack. And you can decide, is it something that you even are willing to pay? Because like to accomplish something like this, to make millions of dollars, to get a six pack, these are rare things and they require a cost. So I think understanding what it takes and understanding if you are willing to pay the cost to get that result is very, very important before we just launch into a goal. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you 6 different ways that you can start focusing on this. I'm going to give you 2 different things that are probably going to keep you from hitting those goals. And I'm going to give you one global framework to keep in mind as we go through this. So you listen to the Low Carb Hustle, home of your $1 million body method, where we help you get leaner and live longer. My name is Nate Palmer. I've been a coach since 2008. That's like 17 years this year. Woo. I've helped over 1,200 people level up their health and fitness. My mission is simple, though, to show you how to easily drop fat so you can feel lean, strong, energetic. So if you're ready to see what it takes to get a six pack in 2025, well, stick around. Let's do this. So if you've ever been in a place where you'd want to get a six pack, you're tired of how you look, or you just want to look better at the beach, you are struggling to lose belly fat, maybe you're too busy to be spending hours in the gym or track every calorie, like this is for you. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly what this is going to take, and you can decide if that's what you're willing to pay. We're going to cover 6 simple steps to uncover your abs and show you how better sleep can kind of create the foundation here. And then also, like, everyone's got their own reason for things, whether it's a vanity metric where you just want to look better, which I totally get. That's totally cool. But also, abs aren't just about looks. They represent health. They represent discipline and vitality. And abs are a status symbol. Right now, there are more millionaires in the United States than people with visible abs. It's not something you can buy. It's not something you can get handed down. It's something that showcases a lot of work, honestly. So I feel like people will ask me, like, well, how did you get your abs, or how do you maintain your abs? And a lot of it for me has come down to the fact that I've been a trainer since 2008. I've been working out consistently since 2003. And most of that, like in the first 10 years or so, was garbage. But I have a huge body of work that I've done in the past, 20 years that has really supported me. It's allowed me to build muscle. It's allowed me to stay lean. And at this point, I can maintain this. But that's not going to be the case for a lot of people. And I want to let you know that, because a lot of trainers won't tell you that. They're like, here's what I eat in a day. And you're like, yeah, must be nice. Like, that's not the reality for a lot of us. We have to work harder up front, right? If you're going from making $0 in your business, you want to make $1 million, you got to work way harder than the person who's already making $1 million a year is going to have to work to make $1 million, right? They're just kind of on autopilot. They're going to do the same thing they did last year, and they're probably going to get pretty close. So here, let's talk about this, and let's talk about some of the simple things that we want to start including, make sure that are always a part of our program, our mindset, like honestly very important here, and just something to keep in mind as you go through this. And if you want help, you want something that's a little more specific, dialed in for you, step-by-step guides, daily action steps, workouts, etc. That's what I do. I will help you do that. I'll put all your things into a workout. I will have the videos there. I'll have you accountability. We'll check in. I'd love to help with that. Okay. But a lot of people don't need that or don't want that. And that's totally fine. So I want to give you the best tips that I can to kind of keep in mind from a overarching line of forest through the trees perspective. And this one is the number one thing. I think that the people who have six packs, the people who are lean and toned, always use this rule. But number one is protein first, always. Having protein in your meals is something that I feel like we've talked about ad nauseum. But if you don't have protein in a food, the rule in 2025 is if it doesn't have protein in it, don't eat it. And so I put out a YouTube video or Instagram short reel or something like that about this. And I had a bunch of people chime in and were like, well, broccoli doesn't have protein. I mean, we shouldn't eat broccoli. And I'm like, thanks, the internet. That's really cool of you to ask me that. well, do you say you hate mangoes? No, dude, just chill. Because you can have chicken and broccoli, right? Chicken and broccoli has protein in it, but broccoli doesn't have protein in it. So if you have chicken and broccoli, you have the protein. So what we want to make sure we're doing here is you just always want to incorporate protein at every meal all the time. All the time. And if you go to a meal and there's no protein, don't eat the things. Don't eat it until you can find some protein. That's a rule that I've abided by for the last 2 decades, and it's working out pretty well. And I don't always eat perfectly. Sometimes I'm having white bread, but making sure that I have protein at every single meal, anytime I eat anything, always protein has been just a constant thing that plays in the back of my mind. I don't ever take time eating a meal without protein in it. So a lot of people will also ask, how much protein can you absorb at a time? There's no upper limit. It's kind of cool. But we want to make sure that you're getting about 1 pound per gram of body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, you should be getting about 200 grams of protein, which is hard. But the nice thing about that is that if you eat 200 grams of protein, it really cuts out the amount of time you have to spend eating a bunch of BS later on in the day. You have to work to get 200 grams of protein. You don't have to work to get 200 grams of carbs. You can eat that in 1 bowl of cereal. It's super easy. Go to Dutch Bros. They have they have a coffee with almost 150 grams of carbs in it. It's not hard at all. But protein, that takes effort, takes work. So that's one of the main things going into this. So I would you can divide this up over 2, 3, 4 meals or whatever, but I'm just trying to hit 60 grams of protein at every meal personally to try to get about 200 grams a day. That's my baseline. Focus on the whole foods too, eggs, chicken, steak, then throw in some protein shakes on top of that. The way I think about it is 200 grams of protein basically equals 2 pounds of lean meat. Otherwise, you could do 1.5 pounds of lean meat in a protein shake, or you could do 1 pound of lean meat, a protein shake, and 7 eggs. That's a full day of eating right there. 1 pound of chicken, 7 eggs, and a protein shake. Now you just have to fill in the gaps. That makes life so much easier, right? So that's the number one thing. Protein at every meal. And if it doesn't have protein, don't eat it. You can end this episode right now. And if you just follow that, you're going to be in way better shape than 90% of the people who will not accomplish the New Year's resolutions. Step number 2, and this is one that I have found to be very important for a lot of people for 2 reasons. And I'll explain them. But it's stop eating at 7 p.m. That's kind of the goal, right? Stop eating 3 hours before bedtime is really the rule, but 7 p.m. seems to be a good place for a lot of people. And the 2 reasons I think this is really important is, number one, my dad always used to say, nothing good happens after midnight, which probably is true when I'm 18 years old and didn't want to do anything legal or safe. But it's nothing, you don't eat anything good after 7 p.m. anyways. You're in the fridge looking for food. You kind of got a craving. You want something snacky. That's when you pull out the potato chips or the candy or the sweets, whatever else. There's not a lot of good food happening after that 7 p.m. So just have a hard stop. One easy way to do this is go brush your teeth. Brush your teeth after dinner, and then it's harder to eat a bunch of BS food. The second reason this is really important is because when you don't eat 3 hours before bedtime, your deep sleep improves by a lot. It's dramatic. And deep sleep is the number one type of sleep you need if you want a six pack. If you're not getting enough deep sleep, the chances of you getting super lean are pretty slim. Just because that's when your body goes into repair and rebuild mode. So that's when you're burning the majority of your fat. That's when your body is repairing and rebuilding your muscle. If you're not getting that, you're just not going to see the results you want. You're not going to feel as good as you want to. So really eliminates late night snacking and then lets your insulin levels drop, which promotes that fat burning overnight. So if you need something, have some herbal tea or some sparkling water to fight cravings, chew some gum. But that's, you want to make sure that you're doing that to cut calories, cut the BS foods, and improve your sleep because you're not digesting food late at night. Number 3 is fasting. I'm a big proponent of fasting. If you want to get lean, this is probably one of the easiest ways to do that. I like fasting personally and for a lot of my clients because most of my clients will tell me straight up that they don't want to track their calories. And that's fine. You can track calories, you can not track calories. I've had people get really lean in both directions. Tracking is nice because you actually can manage and measure everything. And then if you want to incorporate a piece of pizza, it's easier to do so. But if you're not tracking, fasting is kind of the main tool that I like to lean on. So just giving your body more time to burn fat, it triggers the autophagy process to clear out damaged cells. So you could call a fast something as easy as like a 12-hour fast. By the way, we should probably all be doing about a 12-hour fast every night, just going from 7 to 7 or so. And then work up to like 24, 36, 48 hours. I love that. I think that's one of the most effective ways of burning fat. And if I wanted to take someone who, had to get in shape as fast as possible, and they were like, I'll do whatever you say, don't even just tell me what to do. I'd probably have them eating, I'll say like a 200-pound man. I'd probably have them eating 250 grams of protein every single day, working out 3 to 4 times per week, and then fasting 48 hours once a week. That's going to give ridiculous results. It is challenging, mentally challenging, but I like the idea of it being binary. It's like you eat or you don't eat. It's not like, well, could I have this? Can I slide in that? Is this okay? No, it's on or off. And on or off, I've always heard people say that 100% is easier than 99%, because then there's no room for us to play games with ourselves. And I don't know about you, but I love playing games and rationalizing. I can rationalize pretty much anything. For a while there, I was like, well, it's got milk in it. This cake has a 1/4 cup of milk in it, so that's got protein. Eat the cake. That didn't work out well for me. That's my rationality when I got up to 240 pounds, which is not my healthiest weight. Number 4 is morning movement. Getting up in the morning and starting off your day with a little bit of movement is a fantastic way to start off your day. It's going to burn fat. It is going to help you get in a good headspace. It is going to rev up your metabolism. It is going to energize your body more than a cup of coffee will. I think that going out and doing like a 30 to 60 minute walk in the morning is probably the best thing you could do. I think additionally, you could get on a rower or an assault bike or just do some body weight circuits, some jump rope, something like that in the morning. That would be fantastic as well, just to get your body moving and trigger some fat burn. You don't have to do a 60-minute either. That's not necessary for you to be healthy. That's just probably what you'd need to do to get the 6-pack. I think that the majority of people I've seen who have actually obtained visible abs, when we look back at their year, over the course of 365 days, they've walked a minimum of 300 times. They've gone for 300 plus hour-long walks. We're just reviewing someone's data from this last year, and he had done 453 walks in the last 365 days. So he did quite a few. Not all of them were an hour, but still, it was fairly inspirational. So any type of just light movement. I also really recommend doing your workouts in the morning. We'll get into that in a second, though. I just think that getting something in the morning is always the best way to do it, because if you're a busy parent, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a lot going on in your life, a lot of times your day does not belong to you after about noon. Some of it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in our day belongs to someone else. So getting it in the morning is crucial to starting off your day with a win. And then also just so nice not to have to think about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. When you come home, last thing you want to do is go to a busy gym with a bunch of New Year's resolution people. That's a tough sell. And plus our willpower is a lot lower at the end of the day. Step number 5 is weight training. If you want a 6-pack, you got to build muscle. You have to have visible abs. A lot of guys will get down to 10, 12% body fat and still not have a 6-pack because their abs aren't strong or thick. And because they've only been doing crunches and leg lifts and scissor kicks and stuff like that, and a bunch of body weight movements, which is cool. Those are great. Help you strengthen your core up. But really, to build a 6-pack, you need to build thick, blocky abs. And the way to do that is the same way we use to build every other muscle. Heavier weights, lower reps. 8 to 12 reps on an ab exercise, same as 8 to 12 reps on a bench press or something you're doing to build your lats. I don't know how abs got this weird pass where it's you got to do 50 reps of them. We don't do 50 reps of bicep curls. So let's stop doing sets of 50 of abs too. So 3 to 4 workouts per week is kind of the sweet spot. That gives people enough time to recover. I used to be a big fan of train 6 days a week, just keep going. But what I found is that most people's bodies can't recover from something like that. And the recovery is really when you build the abs, you cut the fat, all that sort of thing. So 3 days per week is plenty. I like an upper, lower, and a full, or a push, pull, and a legs for that. And then for 4 days, I would do a lower, a push, a pull, and an arms or shoulders or something like that. But make sure you work in some actually heavy ab movements. And my 3 favorites for this are ab wheel rollouts, knees to elbows or toes to bar, so hanging and then bringing your legs up and actually rotating at the hips. That's key here, because you can do a lot of work with your hip flexors, but you have to really roll those hips up, try to get your pelvis to touch your belly button if you want to really work, especially the lower abs, which are the hardest ones to build. You'll never see a person with really solid lower abs and no upper abs. That person doesn't exist. It's always the other way around. People will get the top 2 first and then have a really hard time building the bottom 2. So ab wheel rollouts, hanging toes to bar or knees to elbows, and then a rope abdominal crunch is one of the best ways you can weight an ab movement. So just kind of crunching down, holding the rope over your head and squeezing really, really tight. Squeezing is the most important thing with the abs. You have to be able to feel those engaging. And if you don't feel your abs engaging, chances are they're probably not. The other exercises I think that are really important for abs are anything where you're like holding a heavy load, heavy front squats, back squats, deadlifts, and farmer's carries. Now, I'm not a huge fan of heavy squats and deadlifts because I think they can put an unnecessary toll on the lower back. But if you do them right, or if you're just honestly just like holding a weight in place, like a standing plank with like 300 pounds on your back, you have to force your core and your abdominals to really focus. You really, really stay tight. So I like those. Doing something like a heavy farmer's carry where you're holding a trap bar, holding 2 dumbbells to the side, and having to keep your core really ridiculously tight as you walk around. That's a great way to build the lower abs. Again, just make sure you're flexing, squeezing, and then keeping that posture really good. Posture is quite related to abs as well. And then step number 6 is sleep to shred. This is important because poor sleep is going to raise your cortisol. It's your belly fat hormone, stress hormone. Poor sleep increases your hunger. It lowers your metabolism. So better sleep is better fat loss, period. So focus on blackout curtains, cooler room temperatures, cutting your screens an hour before bed, not eating 3 hours before bed, no caffeine 10 hours before bed. Trying to stay out of like really intense books and TV shows right before bed, so you're not super wound up. All of those things are going to make a big difference. I also like to wear a sleep mask when I sleep because I just can't get the blackout curtains the way I want them to be, and that's like a private blackout curtain. And then I'll use like a nose strip and then mouth tape. I think those are really helpful for me for keeping my sleep high quality. And if you are interested in getting better sleep and focusing in on improving that to see better results, get the 8 and 6 sleep program. That's how to get 8 hours of sleep in 6 hours. And even if you're getting more than 6 hours of sleep a night, this is going to skyrocket the amount of deep sleep and REM sleep you're getting, which is going to allow you to feel your best, have your best energy. It's just going to make a huge difference. And sleep is one of those things we all do. We might as well just do it better, right? So if we're not sleeping ideally, optimally, we're leaving a lot of gains on the table. We're going to make this progress a lot slower than it has to be. Plus, it impacts your immune system, your health, your skin, your hair, everything. So those are my 6 tips on what I would start focusing in on to start building a 6-pack in 2025. So the way I would probably do this is I would give myself a checklist, like macros, kind of like how do I, every single day I want to get 200 grams of protein. Every single day I want to stop eating at 7 p.m. Every single week I want to do a fast. Every single, I want to, move my body or sweat every single day. And I want to get, give myself the opportunity to get 7 hours of sleep a night, let's say. And then put that on a checklist. And then every single day go through and just check those off, That's one of the easiest ways to just stay accountable, because what gets managed gets measured, or what's get measured gets managed. So if you're constantly checking those off, you're keeping them top of mind. That's a great way to do this. I just would give yourself a very clear metric on what that would take, So rather than just being sleep better, do something where it's stop eating 3 hours before bed, put your phones down an hour before bed, etc. I'm trying really hard not to cough right now, so I keep drinking my water. Okay. So the 2 things that I think are going to get in the way for most people, which is why most people don't have a 6-pack, is number 1, weekends. I think weekends screw people up so bad. It's just that they use two days in a row, maybe even 3 days if you're counting Friday, ruins the other 4 or 5 days. So, because I think that on weekends, it's kind of like these rules go out the window and we treat ourselves. We deserve a little treat. So we kind of just give ourselves what we want. And then come Monday, we're like, oh my gosh, got to get back to the grind. And so we've got to ramp all the way back up for 4 or 5 days. And then we go out again and have happy hour. We sleep, we go to bed too late. We wake up late. We didn't miss our workouts, that sort of thing. So one of the ways that I've been combating this, because that was a problem for me for a long time, is I have a workout that is consistent. I do it every Saturday called Savage Saturdays in my house, where a bunch of dudes come over and we all train together. So it's at 6:30 a.m., which really ensures that I don't wake up or I don't go to sleep super late. I don't stay out late because I know I got these guys counting on me and I'm counting on them. And so having this accountability there has been tremendous for me to wake up, get a workout in on a Saturday morning, which is such a great time to get a workout in. And then, because weekends, you have less going on. So should be working out on those days rather than trying to fit it in on the really, really busy days. Couldn't stop that cough. Thankfully, I got the mute button in time. I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to put it up on the internet because, truth be told, it is Sunday the 5th, and this episode releases tomorrow on the 6th. And the only reason, normally I have these done way in advance, but I have been slacking, really slacking. The second reason that most people are going to fail is because of snacking, which rhymes with slacking. Snacking is just one of the biggest myths and lies that we've been told. Like we need 3 meals a day and then 2 snacks a day or something like that. We don't need snacks. We have never needed snacks. And honestly, we don't even need 3 meals a day. You're just fine with 2 meals a day. I've got some clients who like that 1 meal a day thing. That works out pretty well. But the problem is that if you're never giving your body a time to digest the food you're eating, you're always constantly grazing. You're never going to ever enter fat burn mode. I'll also put alcohol up there. Alcohol is another thing that causes people to keep from being able to burn fat or build muscle. Every drink you have reduces your ability to burn fat or build muscle by about an hour. So if you're drinking like a glass or 2 of wine a night, having a couple of beers every night, that's cutting like really, really badly into your ability to burn fat. Plus it impacts your sleep, which again, just kind of is a negative cycle. The framework, though, the thing that I want you to think about here is not necessarily these 6 tips or those 2 like roadblocks that are going to get in the way, but is the idea of every single day just getting better. That's all there is to it, is just every single day getting better. So whether you're at a relative's house for Christmas and you can't get to the gym or whatever else, what can you do? How can you get better in those moments? Can you get out and get a walk in? Can you do some yoga? Can you play around? What are the things that you can do to get better, to actually see some improvements in the areas of your life that you feel need to be improved? Because if you have just a low grade obsession with whatever it is that you're trying to work on, if you're obsessed with trying to get better, if you're obsessed with trying to get your body into its peak condition, it has to stay top of mind all the time. So I'm always confused when people, blow up on the weekends and then they're like, oh yeah, I had a bad weekend. I was like, what? How did you forget about this for 2 whole days? Where were you? Like, what were you doing that you completely just abandoned your goals and now we have to come all the way back to it? And yeah, obviously that happens. We go on vacation, we take trips, we travel, there's holidays, whatever else. But there's always a reason to give up on your goals. It's always Aunt Susan's cat's half birthday and someone brought cake to the office. So it's like, if you look at the daily holidays, there's always like donut day or candy day or cinnamon roll day. There's just a bunch of bullshit. Like there's 100 million reasons to fail at this. And the only way we can keep from failing and stay on point is by focusing on improvement, focusing on getting better. So my wife gives me shit because we'll be at church and I'll be stretching my glutes or working on my forearms because I've got some muscle tension there. Or, I'll be at home and she's like, what are you doing? Cause I'm rubbing up against the wall like a bear. but I'm just using a lacrosse ball to like get that knot between my shoulder blades. So, but it's always it's like, obviously my body is, what I do for work a lot. I focus on my fitness. That's really important to me. But I always am looking for ways to improve the quality of my body, the quality of my movements, the quality of my nutrition, just trying to level those things up. And even if that's not a huge increase, I just want to make sure I'm getting a little bit better every day. That's why one of the core tenets of the $1 Million Body Program is 1% better. Just get 1% better every day and keep it top of mind. Keep it always, always, always on your mind. And that way when it's like, oh, I did fall off, I ended up having Aunt Susan's cat's half birthday cake. You were like, okay, well, that was one. Let's get right back to it. And I think that's when we start seeing success, is when we have that idea of, yes, that might have just been one little blip on the radar, but let's get right back to it. Let's keep pushing, because I'm only going to get better and better as I go. So that's what I would focus on. And if I can help out at all, I would love to be a resource for you. Like I said, we train all kinds of busy parents and entrepreneurs here at the $1 Million Body, just trying to make sure that people have exactly what they need, the structure, the accountability, the support, the workouts, and nutrition to get the results they're looking for. But if you wanted just one thing that you could do right now to get the best results possible, go get that 8 in 6 sleep program. Just go to 8in6.com, 8, number 8, IN6, the number 6.com, and pick that up. It's right now I have going out with, you get a free bottle of Complete Restore recovery aid that goes out with it, which is a $60 value. So grab that course. It's so awesome. It'll completely radically transform and change the way you sleep. And you're going to be able to get the best results, because when you get your sleep dialed in, everything else seems to come together as well. So if I can help you out with anything, if this episode has been helpful for you and you could share it with somebody else, I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have an amazing 2025, and I will catch you on the next one.